Hello and welcome back to the Mindset Project podcast. My name is Lewis Conde and my aim is to give you the tools to develop and improve your mindset. By drawing on my own experiences as a competitive swimmer, as well as the opinions and experiences of other incredible individuals, I hope to expose you to an alternative way of thinking. And in doing so, I hope that inspires some sort of personal growth. I believe that through mindset development, we can strive physically, mentally and emotionally. I hope you're all doing well, staying positive and staying healthy. So let's get on to it. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Mindset Project podcast. On this week's episode we have another guest and I am so happy to say I got to have a chat with the incredible Ashanti Johnson. Now Ashanti isn't your average fitness trainer, she actually focuses on what she calls mental fitness. In this episode we talk about what this actually is, but in a nutshell it is essentially using your mindset to get the most out of a workout. Ashanti has her gym in Chicago and through her approach to fitness has helped her clients shed hundreds of pounds of body weight. Now, if you remember all the way back to episode 6, I talked about using visualization to attract the things that we want. I discovered Ashanti through TED Talks and knew straight away that she was exactly what this podcast is all about. The power of visualization allows Ashanti to create this image in her head of creating this successful business, and she is one of many examples of the power of visualization happening in real time. We also talk about her experience of doing a TED Talk, and I'm so grateful to have been able to sit down with Ashanti and just ask these sort of questions. This episode is a short one, but is one of the most enjoyable episodes I've done so far, and I really hope you enjoy it as much as I do because it's definitely one not to miss. So let's get on with it. Okay, so welcome back to the Mindset Project podcast. And on this episode, we have Ashanti Johnson. Now, Ashanti is a fitness trainer, and she's not your average fitness trainer. She does mental fitness. So I guess the first thing to kind of kick us off is, what is mental fitness?
Yes, thank you so much for having me, Lewis. Mental fitness is the most important component of any fitness program. I work with a lot of clients, thousands of clients at this point in my career, where they have goals, but if they can't really realize them, typically it tends to be some sort of mental barrier, some sort of block. They don't see themselves thinner with a flat stomach and thighs that don't rub and that sort of thing. So if they can't see it, they can't really get there. It is working the mind in the way that you would work your body, with practicing beliefs and practicing habits on the level of behavior that will get you to your goal. The same way that you would practice pull-ups, right? You start like this, and then pretty soon you're getting closer and
Yeah.
closer. Your mind is made up of 50% habits. And so bad habits are not easily broken. You've got to practice them over and over again. You got to strengthen your mind to sort of fight against itself. Your mind does not like to change habits. It does not like to do anything that it has never done before. It likes to repeat the same old patterns to keep you stuck.
Yeah, it's almost like
So you got to train it.
it's almost like strong mind, strong body.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's one of like my like philosophies as well. Like
Yes.
I always go into the gym. Like if I'm like focused, then I feel like I can kind of do anything. Basically, like if you've probably had this as well. Like you might not be feeling that great, and your workout is not that great.
Yes, absolutely. And then what you say, right? You're like, I'm
Yeah,
tired. And then you just keep saying it and you keep getting more tired. You're making other people tired. You keep telling them, right?
yeah,
So it's very powerful, our mind.
yeah. And I think as well as like you said, when you say you're being tired, obviously if you have that negative impact on other people, then you might actually bring them down, and obviously creates this like knock-on effect.
Yes, yes. So to fight against those natural, it doesn't mean that you're not tired. It's
Yeah,
just that you've got to know that those types of things will take you further down the rabbit hole. So the goal is to strengthen your awareness of those thoughts, your awareness of those actions so that you can change it. It's mentally fitness,
yeah,
fitness,
yeah.
exercise.
Okay, well, my next question is, what made you go into mental fitness and not just, fitness in general? And like, what made you think this is like going to be my niche?
Yeah, so I grew up in Los Angeles, California, which is one of the fitness capitals of the world,
Yeah.
with two parents that were very fit. They were very active. They would always go to the gym after school. This is years ago. So I grew up knowing about nutrition facts, and health and wellness was a very big part of my household. But nonetheless, I grew up with a weight problem,
Hmm.
and I was desperate to lose weight. My mother was always on a diet, so I sort of joined her. I had my first gym membership at 14. I took all the pills and the potions and the slim fast and all the
Yeah.
things that we do as women to try to lose weight, to the point of even developing an eating disorder. I was bulimic in high school for a full
Mhm.
year. And then I moved. After I graduated from college, I got a job out in Chicago, and I lost 30 pounds in 2 months after moving there. And I couldn't figure out why, because I wasn't really eating the best the way that I had in LA. And I
Yeah.
definitely wasn't working out to the degree that I had worked out there. I just sort of relaxed on all of that and was just sort of living my life, enjoying the new city, enjoying being, in a new environment and living my life. And I dropped this weight. And so, as I started to research kind of what was happening with me, I discovered that there's evidence that mentally you can sort of change your body, through
Mhm.
your thought processes and through having sort of a mental shift. And that's kind of what happened with me. All of this pressure that I was putting on myself to lose the weight, and I wasn't good enough until I lost 20 pounds. And look at my jeans, I'm not, they're not fitting right, and all the things that we do when we just don't feel
Yeah.
attractive and overweight, right? I stopped doing that to myself when I moved to Chicago, and I started to just sort of have more fun with life and less emphasis on the way that I looked. And the weight just fell off, Lewis. Like I
Yeah.
couldn't explain it. But again, as I started to research, I understood that I started to, like, on a hormonal level, relax. And instead of like downing myself, I started to appreciate life and practicing more gratitude and present moment awareness and all the things that people feel like is wooey.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
really was the catalyst that changed everything for me, not only mentally, but physically. So I started teaching fitness classes, and quickly they started growing. And I couldn't tell, people would come up to me asking me what to do. And I just couldn't tell them the same six things that people had told me all of my life that didn't work. So I started to kind of move in this direction. And slowly but surely, my clients were having more results, more results. And so when I opened the gym, that was the foundational practice. You have to start to work on the inside so that you can manifest it on the outside.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that an apple is more healthy than a Snicker bar, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Chocolate or chips. It's not rocket science. We know what to do. We just don't do it. We don't comply with it because
Yeah.
we've got all this mental garbage in the way, and telling us that we shouldn't. We something else is more important, or you deserve this, right? Your mind is just not that smart when it comes to trying to change your body. You really have to kind of get fit mentally in order to see it physically.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so obviously this kind of episode is kind of like following up from mine on visualization. So how has visualization helped you either as a fitness instructor or a businesswoman or even just, in your day-to-day life?
Yeah, so I think visualization is one of the secret weapons of all successful people, that is so underutilized by most people. It's nobody likes mystery. Everybody's in this position at some point in your life where you just have no idea what's about to happen, and it's scary.
Yeah.
Maybe it's really important, and you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what you're going to do. That is the perfect place to start to exercise some visualization. Like, what do you want to happen? Right? Our
Yeah.
mind is wired that we recognize the lack in life
Yeah.
more than the beauty, right? That's why you have to have like a gratitude practice, because gratitude just doesn't naturally happen. You don't just wake up, be like, oh, everybody and I love everything and look at my home and look at the floor and the air smells sweet. Like
Yeah.
that doesn't happen naturally,
Yeah.
right? It's more like, ugh, it's 90 degrees today. Oh my God, what am I going to wear? Look at my hair. Look at, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Look at this mess around, right? So you recognize the lack in life more than positivity. And so in moments when you have no idea what's going to happen, like creating a business or creating anything, it's important that you start to think intentionally about what you want the outcome to be versus all the things that could go wrong. That's naturally going to happen, right? So you have to sort of balance it out by thinking about, like, well, what does it look like if it all goes right? What does that feel like? Who benefits from that, from being in that space, right? And that tends to set your mind in motion to start to attract the things that belong in that vision, whether it be people, whether it be other resources like material goods, ideas, opportunities. It's like your mind starts to work for you even when you're not even trying to think about it. It's just like if you've ever wanted a car and you wanted a red sports car,
Yeah.
you start to see it everywhere, right? You're not trying to see it everywhere. Your mind naturally is picking up on all these different things that are in alignment with that vision. So visualization is such an important tool. And I discovered it by accident, to be honest. I mean, I really wanted to get out of my corporate job and I really wanted to start this gym. And it started as a daydream,
Yeah.
me thinking about what it would be like. And I would look down. I lived in a high rise building. I was on the 20th floor, and I would look down at the parking lot and I would say, like, one day my gym membership or my gym parking lot is going to look like this. And I would imagine women coming out with like big purses. I'm like, that's their gym bag. And
Yeah.
sometimes they would with their yoga mat outside. And I'm like,
Yeah.
they're coming into the gym.
Yeah.
So I stumbled on it, but then I started to realize that it actually worked.
Yeah.
So anytime I get afraid or anytime like after COVID, right, this is a good time
Yeah.
to start to reimagine what what you want life to look like
Yeah.
now, because a lot of things have changed and now you get a chance to create something new. And your mind is going to start to put fear in there. So combat it with, what do you want?
Yeah. Combat it with like some more positive thoughts.
Yes.
Because I think as well, like for a lot of people for COVID, they might have had things taken away from them, so they might actually have to, start from scratch again.
Yes, yes. Your mind forgets that. You've constantly got a blank canvas, like a blank canvas to paint on. You can paint whatever you want in however many colors that you want it to be, any shape, any size. Like you have the power to create something new at any moment of your life.
Yeah.
But your brain is stuck in the past. It doesn't know that. So my gym is called 360 Mind, Body, and Soul because you have more than just a mind. Like you've got a whole body that has a lot of intelligence. You don't think about walking. You just get up and walk, right? Like, and you do that because your body remembers how to do that. A lot of intelligence in there. And then you have this soul that is very much in touch with like your essence and what's possible for you. But your brain doesn't know any of those things. It thinks that it's the smartest, coolest thing, that the only thing. Like it's like a baby. Like it's all about me.
Yeah.
Pay attention to me, right? And it's kind of whiny, right? It's always
Yeah.
telling you what you're not and how you're not there yet, right? And so like you have to pay attention to the other factors, but it's just like a computer. It only has past conditioning in there. So if you want to do something new, you have to go into a place that's outside of your mind. You have to sort of tap into you start with your mind and what could it look like, but then you have to go into your body. What does it feel like to be there? Obviously I work in weight loss, so I
Yeah.
always tell my clients, like, imagine feeling, what does it feel like to have a flat stomach? What does it
Yeah.
feel like to feel confident walking around, with your tank top on and just feeling like strong. Like, what does that, that is a visualization in itself. It's not all about visualizing. Only 50% of us can actually do that.
Yeah.
The other half of us need a experience, a feeling to tether to that visualization.
Yeah, because I think the most important part, well, for me when I use visualization, is trying to kind of um get a feeling to kind of latch on to that,
Yes.
because it's almost like it makes like an imprint in your head of what you are wanting, because obviously you know what it feels like, so you kind of, because you know what it feels like, you know that can happen.
Yes. 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 And you start experiencing the possibility of it actually coming to pass. So now you're changing your belief on a certain level. And your subconscious doesn't know what's real and what's not real. It just completely listens to whatever you're
Yeah.
experiencing. So if you can fully experience it, now you're bringing it closer to you. Yes.
Yeah. So like obviously we've kind of like used visualization, but like what tips would you kind of give to someone who is kind of starting out or hasn't tried it before? Because obviously it might seem very like difficult or challenging to kind of sit down and kind of visualize what they want, if that makes sense.
Yes, that totally makes sense. It makes more sense than you know. I so I also teach meditation, and it's a very difficult thing for a lot of it. It's a difficult thing for anybody to do.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Anybody, monks that have been meditating. Why do you think they're meditating for years? Because it takes
Yeah,
a
practice.
long time, right? And it's okay because our mind is constantly talking to us. We're all living with a negative roommate, like in our
Yeah,
mind,
there's
right? So
a devil and an angel like there.
ugh, all day long, Lewis, all day long. So to quiet that and to sit through, like literally, it's the act of sitting down, allowing them to talk it up, right? And just waiting it out because eventually it will go silent, eventually. But you have to, again, pay attention to your body. You can't analyze the thoughts that you're thinking because then now you're back in thought, right? And it's a never ending rabbit hole. Like it
Yeah.
just keeps going. So you have to, breathe and get into like what is the size of my lungs? Let me feel as I breathe, like how far right can I go? How far left can I go? Like, right, get into your body and then you become present because you can't be aware of what it feels like to feel your lungs and think about it and judge it at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So if you can, I would say for somebody starting a visualization, start there. Just start to wrestle yourself down to submission.
Okay.
To just sit down and relax for a second and
Mm.
not sleep, right? Like be awake and just allow yourself to be with yourself. If you can slowly muster up the courage to do that, then and work from a place of being, work from a place of presence, not thoughts, then you can start to ask yourself, what do I want? Like, what do I want? Not what does the world think I should have, right?
Yeah.
Like, what do I want? And something will appear, whether it be a feeling, I just want to feel better in my body, I want to be on a beach. Okay, cool. Now start to feel the sand underneath your toes. Feel the breeze come along against your skin. Feel the sun on your skin. Feel the shade, the umbrella that's over you, right? Is there somebody there with you? And just sort of take yourself through the entire experience of actually being there. Maybe start with something really small that you can actually access right now and
Yeah.
practice that till you get to like a further vision. But that's the hardest part of visualization. Nobody wants to sit with themselves
Mhm. Yeah.
and like do nothing. It's a big you're doing a lot, but it doesn't feel that your mind doesn't associate it that way. So it'll try to talk you out of it every time. And that's why you
Yeah.
need that mental fitness to
Yeah.
really get you on board.
Yeah. Because like one thing I always say is like it takes practice.
Yes.
Like it's easy for not easy enough for us to kind of describe it because we do it a lot. Um, but it wasn't that easy for us when we started. Like you have to kind of do it every day, or practice 5 minutes a day or whatever, and then like and over again, it's just going to get easier, and then obviously your visualization is going to get hopefully more powerful,
Yes.
and obviously when that happens, you're just going to attract more things, and like it'll be better.
Yes, exactly. You just want to, even if you do a session and you don't do it for a couple days, if you do it a, a few times, there might be one thing that you latched onto. Sometimes there might be nothing, but if there's one thing that you can latch onto, you can grow that vision, right? So again, if it's just like I'm on a beach, okay, sand, wind, hearing the waves, right? Think about all of your audio senses, your all of your sense of smell, touch, taste, all of that, and bring that into the experience. And then again, another person, that will help you immensely. But just keep at it,
Yeah.
but that's the hardest part, just sitting
Mm.
down with yourself.
Yeah. Like, I think when you said you touched on using your senses, I think if you're able to kind of taste things, then that's really really good, because that's one of the hardest senses to kind of visualize.
Yes, yes. Well, I mean, we could do that right now, right? You could have a lemon in your hand and you can kind of smell that, right? You can kind of squeeze it and feel that, and you taste it, and you can kind of, your mouth
Yeah.
already kind of salivates. I want to remind everybody too that like we're visualizing all the
Yeah.
time. Anytime you're projecting what's about to happen, we just do it negatively, right? We assume
Yeah.
the worst and we're like, I'm going to practice how to walk in here because I already know they're going to act funny when you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're doing it anyway. The biggest piece of advice that I could give, that I said in my TED talk, is just put some intention on it. Like be intentional about your visions, because you can create a fairy tale or you can create a nightmare,
Yeah.
and more than not, more times than not, we're creating that nightmare. We do
Yeah.
it as soon as we wake up, we put on our clothes, we think about like, okay, what's the weather? What am I going to wear? And what am I going to be doing? And as soon as we think about what am I going to be doing, we like make up this whole story about it in the future, right? That's a visualization.
Yeah. Which has brought me on to like my final question, which, I mean, your TED talk, you mentioned it there, and that was going to be one of my questions. So, like, obviously, you did a TED talk, and I was like, kind of very interested in like how did that kind of come about, and what was like the experience of it?
Oh my God, it was the scariest thing I've ever done, ever. Ever. I've had a baby. I've like moved away from my family. But that was the scariest thing. So I run a gym in Chicago. I've worked with a ton of people. And one of my clients actually asked me to do it. She was putting together the show, and she asked me to be part of the lineup, and I was, of course, like honored and
Yeah.
scared at the same time. And I did what you're not supposed to do. I waited until the last minute to get it together. And it's supposed to be 15 minutes. If you go over 15 minutes, you will not be allowed to be on the platform. So, and I really enjoy speaking. But I just speak, and I can
Yeah.
just speak, right? But this, you had to get it right. So I had to like write it out and I had to memorize it, and then deliver it. And that was the hardest part, because I don't like speaking that way, right?
Yeah.
So I went first,
Right.
and I remember we did uh, rehearsal the night before, and everybody's there that's speaking. And I was on the stage with like Cheryl Jackson. She's like the first Black woman in Senate. Auntie Emmett's Pretzels that are like in all the malls and
Yeah.
things. She was on the cast. There was a bunch of heavy hitter people in the room, and I got up there and I froze. I forgot everything that I had practiced, everything the
Oh.
night before I was supposed to deliver this thing. And I freaked out.
Yeah.
I totally freaked out. And that night, I just got on it and I was like, I'm going to give this everything that I had. And that's what I tried to do. And luckily it paid off. So, but it was the scariest thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah. It was actually a really good one.
Thank
If
you.
anyone hasn't watched it, then I'd highly recommend go and watch it. Um, so that kind of like comes to the end of this episode. Do you want to like say anything else?
Yeah. So again, you guys remember that We're visualizing all the time, all the time. Your mind is going all the time naturally, but there's a flip side that's worthy of exploring. The positive nature, the life, things are supposed to be working out for you. So be aware of what it is that you want. That's the hardest question that we can answer as a human being, right? Because things constantly change. We're constantly impacted in different ways, but be conscious of it. And in moments when you don't know what you're going to do, or you don't know what you need to do, just ask yourself that question and try to visualize that. It's really as simple as that. But put some intention on it. And if anybody wants to find me, you can find me on Instagram at _ Ashanti Johnson.
Well, thank you, Ashanti, for coming on. It was really good to have you. Very interesting. I'm a big fan, so I'm kind of like glad that you came on.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine, Lewis. Thanks.
Yeah. So I really hope you enjoyed that episode. Like I said in the intro, it was one of my favourite episodes I've done so far. And Ashanti is just so positive, and she is without a doubt the type of person I like to surround myself with. And I knew straight away that she was exactly what this podcast is all about. And I honestly can't say how grateful I am to have been able to sit down and delve into like her experiences of using visualization. I think we can all kind of take something away from that. And she's just an example of using visualization and it being successful. Like, she has this successful business, I think it's called, which is called 360 Mind Body Soul. Obviously, you can check that out on Instagram, which Ashanti had mentioned in the interview we had. And even if you go and check her Instagram pages, like you can literally see from the videos that she does and the sort of clips that she posts, she just has this like sort of positive energy. And of course it's not always easy to maintain, like always be positive, but the result of being positive is going to be so much better than, you know, feeling not so great or feeling down or whatever. And if I'm perfectly honest, like, I'm just so excited that I actually had someone who has done a TED Talk. Like, it's absolutely mind-blowing. So, like I said, I hope you enjoyed this episode. It was one of my favourites, and I really hope you enjoyed it as well. And with that, I say, stay positive, stay grateful, and stay humble. And I shall see you on the next one.